Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Greg Study on Soccer. I am here with the one and only Rene Ortiz. Thank you so much, Rene, for joining me today and fitting me into your schedule.
Thank you, Greg, for having me. It's great. I will always find time to talk about soccer.
Always find time. Nice. Let me do a quick little advertisement spot, and then we can get started.
Okay.
Greg Study on Soccer is sponsored by Auden Technologies. Auden Technologies operates primarily out of the Midwest and the Northeast. They're set up for you, man. They're going to take care of your security camera, alarm systems, servers, and networks. I've got a little bit of an added thing to put into our advertisement, and that is contacts. You know, I frequently will, mention Auden Technologies, but I haven't given you guys a way to contact these guys. So they have a website. The website is Infi LLC at .com, and then they also have an email, and that's Jauden Jauden at InfiLLC.com. So get a hold, if you're in the Midwest or the Northeast, get a hold of Auden Technologies. Take care of your dealios. Thank you so much for Auden Technologies and helping us out here at Study on Soccer. So Rene, what a great season we've got going on. But I want to talk a little bit first about you and I have talked a lot before, and I know you really well, but a lot of the people might not know you as well as I do. Your professional career, well, first off, you were born in Anaheim, you were raised in Tijuana, so there's that cross-cultural thing that's really solid in your life.
Right. So my parents got married in Tijuana, and then they moved to Anaheim. My dad was a industrial painter by trade, and after he enlisted to the military, and so when he did his service for the U.S. Army, my mom went to TJ to stay with her mom.
Okay.
And that move ended up being a permanent move. When my dad came back from the military, they decided to buy a house and settle in Tijuana. I'm talking actually like early 70s, right? So the crossing the border was not as difficult as it is today. So more families, well, a lot of families decided to live in TJ and work in the U.S., and that's how they could afford better lifestyle, I guess, compared to what it is now. So I grew up in TJ, but I was U.S. I was born in the U.S. and yeah, that's how I ended up being in TJ.
So let's fast forward real quick to you got drafted by the San Diego Sockers. Was that right out of high school or was that out of college?
Yes, interesting. I just had a dinner with Johan Arnio, the coach who drafted me out of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, he's in town for a couple more weeks. He lives in Albany now. But Johan Arnio was telling me the story of how he got involved with the Sockers, and I think he had 5 championship rings with Ren Newman, under Ren Newman. Yep. And so he met me when I was I think my first or my middle school or first year of high school. They did a trial. I came to San Diego, tried it out. We never played indoor before. Indoor soccer didn't exist in Mexico. Right. The only professional franchise, pretty much northern of Mexico and probably the California, was the Sockers, right? And this is right after they became indoors, right? They play outdoors in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And then they had a few years playing indoor, and that's when the MASL became a little bit stronger, and indoor soccer started to become more popular. So they were recruiting players in Tijuana, and I was one of those guys that tried out. I was invited to with the reserve team. However, at that time I was still in high school, so I decided to stay in high school. And when after graduating from high school, that's when they made the offer me a contract, and I became a full-time indoor player.
So I'm gonna throw myself under the bus possibly because I might not have my statistics correct, but weren't you and Paul Wright drafted at the same time?
Correct. Yeah, Paul Wright and I graduated the same year in high school, 87.
And there was a third place.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I was going to say there was a third person that was drafted at the same time as well, right?
Yeah. So, but he graduated from college. It was Rob Wilhelms. I don't know if you remember
Okay,
Rob
Ralph
Wilhelms.
Wilhelms. That's
Yeah.
right.
It was a college up in Orange County somewhere. So we both graduated
Yeah.
from high school, and part of our obligation was to train with the first team and play on the reserve team and go to school. So I was going to school in the mornings, then go to train with the first team, and then obviously play with the second team.
So you had the opportunity to play with, at least briefly, a lot of those guys whose numbers are retired up on the walls at Front Wave Arena.
Correct. So I was there for 3 years with those guys, and it was a very interesting locker room compared to what it is now. Um, very different. Very huge. It's a huge contrast, right?
I'll bet.
Mostly European players, Eastern European.
Yeah.
Um, very few Latin players. I think Clavijo was from Uruguay.
Right.
Hugo Perez, even though he was
Right.
from El Salvador, he grew up in LA, Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
Yeah.
So, and that was myself, and the rest were from all over. Julie V. I think I told you a story. My first game, I used Julie V tennis shoes because I didn't have mine with me. So he ended up having the same shoe size as me in Washington, and he let me borrow his Nike tennis shoes that he had at that time. And so it was Julie B, Soli, and yeah, obviously Brian Quinn,
right,
and Kevin Crow, Perez,
right,
Branco
right.
Fiore, Steve Sango. His last year, I ended up playing with him.
Wow.
I was kind of like very blessed to be part of that dynasty of the soccer, all those players.
Yeah.
And obviously we had Ryan Newman as a coach.
Yep.
And then I ended up going to Wisconsin in 91.
Yeah, so talk about that. So I mean, you spent a good period of time in Milwaukee. So I mean, anybody who's watching that are Milwaukee Wave fans, I mean, you got to know Rene Ortiz because this guy, he made a commitment to your squad and he played in Milwaukee for a long time. Talk a little bit about your time in Milwaukee. Was Keith Tozier your coach?
Right, but before Keith Tozier was Johan Arnio. So Johan Arnio got the job in Milwaukee. So he left and played NPSL. So it brought myself and a couple other players from San Diego, and on the second year, Johan left and Keith Tozier came in, and I was the few guys that remained from the year before under Keith.
Yeah.
So usually Keith came in and checked things off and made a lot of changes. Yep. He brought in Victor Nogueira as a goalkeeper, and he brought a bunch of players. So I was one of the, if not the only one, maybe I think it was the only one or the few ones who stayed from the year before. So I ended up staying in Milwaukee for 4 years. I spent 4 long winters there. It was, we used to play at the Bradley Center before it was taken down. I think that's when I think I became more complete indoor soccer player under Keith and under Johan, because I was very young when I started with the Soccers. It was very difficult to break the lineup, the guys that we just mentioned before. With Keith and Johan, obviously I had more like a starter role, so I had more playing time, more minutes, more responsibilities, more expectations. And in 93, 94, real quick, the CISL started. So I was drafted by the Soccers again. So I was playing close to 40, like 24, 60, 70 games a year, because I was playing 40 with the MPSL in the winter plus playoffs, and then came back to San Diego in the summer, played another 24 plus playoffs. So I was close to the 80 game mark a year for a couple of years. And that's that's kind of like the best way to learn, obviously, is to play games, right? And to train 100%. So those were probably my best years of indoor soccer from 1993 to 1995, 96.
And a lot of people may not be aware of this, but the CISL, when that league started, as you just mentioned, that was a summer league. So you were able to play year round because the CISL played a summer schedule.
Right. Until the second year. The second year, the MPSL put a stop on all the players immigrating to the CSL.
Interesting.
What I heard, they didn't want to support the summer league. So even though I had on the contract, have an amendment on my contract that they will allow me to go back to San Diego, Milwaukee Wave, still under Keith Tozer and different ownership group, they pretty much deny me from going to San Diego. Or they say, if you go to San Diego, they told me, if you go to San Diego, you just cannot back to the league.
Right.
So I broke ties with Milwaukee. Said, you know what? I'm going. It's on the contract. We agree on this. So I went to San Diego and played my last year in '95.
Right.
And Milwaukee didn't accept me back. So I started working on a lumber company in across street from Sports Arena for half a year. And that's when the MLS started in 1996.
Right.
And then luckily I was drafted by Dallas. I was 7th drafted by Dallas. So I kind of put a pause on my indoor career and went to Dallas to play outdoor, which it was another great experience playing the couple years on the MLS. Yeah.
No kidding. Well, Rene, I don't want to take a lot of your time, so let's go. Let's move. Let's fast forward to what's going on these days, because there's I mean, you wear a lot of hats. I mean, you're assistant coach for the Sockers, you're the head coach of the Sockers too, and you're also the head coach of the Mexican national team in WMF. So before we go into the MASL stories, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with WMF. Can you fill us in with what's kind of a schedule's happening? When's the next World Cup going on? How's the Mexico team doing? Those kind of things.
Yeah. So matter of fact, I just got a text from our president today. He's looking for a roster because we're turning a roster to the WMF, World Mini Football Federation. The next World Cup is in May 1st. And May 21st.
Okay.
To June 1st. So 10-day. And it's at Baku. It's one of the countries up there. Baku is a city.
Okay.
I guess it's west or east of Turkey, Azerbaijan.
Okay. Wow.
That's kind of the fun things about being part of this federation, that you get to travel to countries that you could never imagine that existed or knew about.
Right. No kidding.
We were in Tunisia. We've been in Australia.
Yeah.
We've been in Dubai last year.
Right.
And now we're going to Azerbaijan. So the World Cup is coming. So as soon as our MASL ends, we gotta switch gears and start getting the Mexican team ready.
Okay. How many teams are playing in the World Cup this year?
It's usually around like 24. Sometimes it's a little bit less, but we try to get representative for every continent to make it a legitimate World Cup.
Right.
So in the time that we have India, and then we had a team from it was Japan, and they have South American teams. You have to have like 3 or 4 from South America, and obviously Africa, Europe, and so yeah, it's been a very exciting journey for all of us that joined World Mini Football since 2015, where the first World Cup was in the U.S. when the USA beat Mexico in the final in Chicago.
Yeah. And
that
what was it?
That's the only indoor World Cup that we played.
I was going to say that because it's, I mean, the format for the WMF is 6-a-side. It's small, it's small side, 6-a-side. And so it's very similar to the indoor game that we're all used to, but it's played on an outdoor pitch. So there's no boards.
The only country in the world that plays indoor is pretty much us in Mexico and United States. Everybody else, they play 6-a-side. They play 7-a-side. Right. So we share very similar rules. The number of players are the same. The goals are very similar as well. The only thing that's different from indoor and mini football is the walls, right? So if you want to visualize playing or watching the TNT 7-7,
yep,
a little bit smaller field than that, and you make it 6-a-side,
right?
And that's
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty exciting. So it's going to be coming up in May. That's pretty quick. I mean, that's right around the corner.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
all right. So let's move
to put it together, like the tentative roster for that.
Well, we're excited to see who's going to be on the Mexico team. I'm sure that you're going to be drawing from a lot of MASL talent.
Yeah, most of our roster come from the leagues that are competing. We want players that are in competition.
Right.
So we look at the R League, MSL. We look at the Mexico City Seven
Right.
Side League. We
Right.
look
Right.
at other places like Tijuana. Obviously, so that's where we end TNT. So now we're looking. I think we have close to 30 players that are competing. Mexican players that are competing in our league.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
few in
great.
Milwaukee. There's a few in Kansas City. Obviously,
Wow.
San Diego. You
Right.
have obviously a larger percent from Savage.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting and exciting for us.
All right, so let's move the conversation. That we're really excited about that. I'm really excited about the World Cup. The Mexico side has done extraordinarily well since the World Mini Football started, and we're absolutely super proud of you and your leadership for that team. Let's move to for right now. Let's move to the Soccer's 2. So the Soccer's 2 came back this season, and you are the head coach. And you're putting together these kids, and I've got the blessing. Alex Monar got in touch with me, and he brought my son and I in to do the broadcast, the play-by-play and video broadcast on YouTube. And I really enjoy, the Soccer's 2 have been a really good team, and they've got a good record. One of the things that I have was made is concerned for the lost games that you guys had between Chihuahua and what was the other team that you guys didn't get to play? Oh, New Mexico.
Right.
How did that turn out? What did the league decide to do?
So as you know, our flight were canceled. We left.
Right.
They changed our flights in Tijuana 3 times. Was supposed to be 11, and then at 5 p.m. we ended up leaving like at 9. We ended up going to Monterrey. We were supposed to take a flight at 7 a.m. So we stayed overnight in the airport. Obviously, we couldn't sleep. Obviously, we're on the floor waiting for the 5 o'clock check-in to leave at 6:30, I believe, 6:45. And as we just getting ready to board, they canceled that flight due to the snowstorm. That, if you remember, there was a big snowstorm like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so they canceled all flights to Chihuahua. So we were just stuck in Monterrey for another day, and we couldn't play those games. Now the league decided that I guess we're getting 1 point per game, which put us in a kind of bad spot because we were very confident to get good results, at least like in Mexico, and obviously we're ready to fight against the Savage. So we lost the point that we were expected to get. So now they put us in a situation where even though we win the remaining of our season, we need to depend on other scores to make it to the Final Four.
Right, and there's only 4 teams that are going to qualify, right?
Right, it's the first I think the first 3 teams and the best second team. So it's about the record. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, obviously we're not happy, but we have a game coming up against Ontario on March 2nd, and then we go to Turlock for a couple more games, and then we obviously we host a few more games here. So, I mean, we just gotta our main the main purpose of why D2 for us exists is to give players a chance to develop and to get players to get minutes, right? As a franchise, as a coach, we always want to win. We want to pursue the first place and the trophy because that's kind of like our mindset. But the main reason, the goal is to give players minutes and to take a look at those players to possibly come to the first team to train and, if needed, move up and take a spot, right? So with that premise, I think we've done a good job. I think we have used several players in the first team when needed. And so we're juggling 2 goals, right? One is to obviously to make it to the finals and try to get the first place, and also to develop. So in that list, we had 30 players The youngest one is 16 years old.
Yeah.
He hasn't make a game yet, but we're trying to put everybody to get a chance to play. My promise to the players were like, if you come and train with us, I promise you, I'm going to give you a game. Because it's a lot of commitment from the players. They're not getting paid. They have to drive. They have to spend the hours. So it is very challenging for us to put together a decent group where players need to obviously fulfill their obligations and also manage to come with us. So it's challenging. But I think both Alex, my assistant coach, Salvador Chava, done a great job in communicating with the player. We have probably a roster of 30 players that we're looking. And so we're very, very happy about so far what we've done so far with the D2.
Yeah, no, and it's been fun for me too to sit up there in the booth and to get to know the players and get to know you guys, and how you play on the field, and to get the chemistry and watch it happen. And it's been a good side. It's disappointing. I would have hoped that the league would have awarded 2 points for those missed games, but because 1 point definitely does hurt. So yeah, that's kind of rough. Let me ask you this. This is a question I think all of the fans want to know. All right. What is the deal with trying to get around? What does the MASL need to do to try to get around all these visa issues as far as getting players to be able to play across the border?
Well, it comes down to the league status compared to other professional leagues in the country, right? So you have, if you're requesting for a visa, but if you're the NBA, if you're the MLS, if you're the hockey, football, obviously you have a much greater profit, right?
Okay.
So you can call yourself a legitimate professional league, right?
I see.
And so there's standards to define what is a professional league.
I gotcha.
Right? And I guess MLS is right there. I really don't know specific, but we're short of, according to the government standards, to define ourselves as a professional league.
Right.
Because the money and the budgets and the number of teams. So I think that the main issue is the U.S. government is putting certain, obviously, it's checklists that we need to do in order for us to give us visas, working visas, right? I don't know if you remember the MPSL in the 90s, obviously mostly West Coast, East County, right? That league was basically made for American players. They were like, okay, I remember the commissioner said one time, this is for American players. Give the opportunity to American players to play indoor soccer professionally, right? And I think that was a great approach. But when that ended, it opened up, obviously, the Mexicans coming in, the Europeans want to come in, a lot of Brazilians coming in. And that's where I guess maybe it's challenging now to make everybody happy with giving visas just because they play soccer.
Oh, gotcha. So the next question is, it's a little interesting, and I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really even know what the answer to this is, but how is it that players can are not allowed to play in M1, but the same player is allowed to play in M2?
Because we don't do salaries on M2.
Oh, gotcha.
They don't have a professional contract. They do sign a contract, but it's more like an amateur contract for our league, not to like go back and forth leagues, but they're not getting really a salary. Right?
I gotcha.
So they're not really working in the U.S.
Okay.
It's more like a recreational type of approach league.
Right.
Even though some of them might be under contract with the first team and coming down. And just remember, not everybody in the M2 has a connection with the top first team.
That's correct.
Team. So we, Ontario, but Tacoma doesn't have one. Savage has one. And we can Milwaukee doesn't have one. I don't know, St. Louis. And even, I mean, some have male and female. So, but we have, for example, New Mexico. Mexico has no connection with any one. Iowa Raptors, another one.
Right. Right.
So it's a league. It's pretty much a league for where it wants to apply, but again, it will be under the amateur umbrella.
Okay. Well, that explains it. That's a good explanation. I appreciate that, Renee, because I know that a lot of fans have questioned, how that works. That a player like last year, Iram Ruiz, was playing, or the year before, Iram Ruiz was playing. Yeah, year before, he was playing on D2 and not on D1, and Brandon Escoto has shown up on D2 this season. And so it's been, and it's like, what's going on? And from a layperson's perspective, as a fan just watching, it's kind of like, how can Brandon play on D2 but not on D1? I mean, what's going on? So that explains it pretty nicely. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on this season with the first division. First off, I want to say, the venue. Talk about the arena. Talk about the new carpet. I mean, it looks really good, man.
Yeah, I would say the new arena is very excited. I mean, I've been with the soccer since 1987, and the only place that I know is been the sports arena, the old sports arena or Pechanga Arena, we call it, right?
Right.
So making a change is always, I don't know, it's just, you're going to certain waters, right? You don't know what's gonna happen, but I think Phil Salvaggio and his group done a tremendous job. He was very clear since day one. He wanted to build an arena specific for indoor soccer.
Absolutely.
The arena is perfect. There's the size.
Yep.
Obviously, the locker room are first class.
Yep.
Everything. Obviously, the whole thing. He made sure that every seat you were able to watch, or even you get up. I would listen to him over a interview. He said even if you get up for a meal or a beer or a soda, you're still able to watch a game compared to other arenas that you get up and you miss the game, right? You miss the action unless you have a screen.
That's right.
So we're super excited. The new turf obviously going to take a while for us to adapt. It's a little bit thick, a little bit higher than we used to.
Okay.
I know I saw the wide pass by the goal right inside the box. It's hard to follow the ball when you're watching on TV.
Yeah.
But we're excited because I think it looks beautiful. I think the logo across.
Yep.
Over the circle, because most of the logos stay in the circle, right?
Yeah.
But this one is pretty much
Yeah.
on both ends of the circle, so it makes it just different and beautiful. With not all of us that were soccer fans, so I think it's great. I think it's just unbelievable. I mean, I had a chance to play the first game at the arena, Mexico USA, and obviously the field or the turf was not as quality as it is today.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that's really great. I think it looks beautiful too. Of course, social media sort of exploded about the white goal boxes, the penalty area, all bright white.
Maybe we need to go back to the old bowl. Remember that orange bowl? Orange.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And maybe we should get an orange bowl and then.
There's a lot of us old school boys that would really love to see that, because man, that was a beautiful ball. We all loved that one.
It's one thing that I have difficult, like try to watch hockey. Same thing. The puck is so small, it's hard to watch, right?
Right.
But the orange ball made it very unique for indoor soccer, and I think everybody knows about indoor soccer from the like early '80s. The orange ball is like a trademark of indoor soccer, right?
Absolutely. So real quick, let's talk about the San Diego Sockers, how they're doing this season. This last road trip was interesting. I think that it was a little tiny bit of a shock with the loss up in Kansas City. St. Louis played really tough, and then the game in Chihuahua was not the best result, of course. But then the other night, man, the Chihuahua Savage come into San Diego, and Boris was standing on his head. The defense played well, and there was enough goals scored to win the game. But let's talk about how the San Diego Sockers are doing going through the second half of the season.
I was a little bit disappointed for that road trip. We have higher expectations, especially against Kansas City.
All right.
One thing that is still for me personal, it's been a challenge is trying to control the emotion when we believe referees are not doing us like
Mm,
fair making fair calls,
right.
and we lose our concentration levels. If you notice against Kansas City, after those two calls against Taboy and I believe it was somebody else, we got two power plays. We kind of lose
Yeah,
control of the game, and then it's hard to come back, especially against a team of Kansas City, right?
yeah, that's right.
Um,
Right.
and it's similar happened in Chihuahua. We
Yeah.
get distracted by the referees and we lose focus on the game. The Chihuahua game, we had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of people that need to rest for that Sunday game. So as you know, we took Mexican players that some of them played with us in the past. Some of them
Right.
there were last minute decisions.
Right.
And in the first half, we just lose the concentration. We give away like five set pieces goals, which do cannot happen in a small field like Chihuahua. And it's hard to come back when you have that much a big margin of goals to
Right.
cash against probably the best or second best team in the league. It's super difficult. So we're very proud the way the second half went when we
Yep.
scored and we won the game and we
Right.
settled down to play. So um, Chihuahua is a very difficult arena to play and to get a W.
Hmm.
There's just a different environment, right? But we're not happy. That's not an excuse. We're just not happy with our performance of both in Kansas City, well, San Luis too. But I think San Luis, the fatigue factor kicked in a little bit. Not just saying that it's an excuse, but that was our first back-to-back game in the year. We never played back-to-back games. If you
Right.
go look at the schedule, that was our first. So I know we're going to be tested on the fitness, and that was a factor. Um, but I think that Sunday game, we needed to perform well,
Yeah.
not only to win, but to perform well. And
Right.
for us as coaches, it's more encouraging to see the team playing well than just winning the game, right?
Right.
Because you
Right.
can win the game, and there's a lot of things that it could have gone either direction, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't get a power play goal, if you could have foul or whatever, or the goalie from the other team didn't miss the block. But when you play
Right.
well, and you play well, and you're solid on both ends of the field, like on Sunday, um,
Yeah.
encouraging, right? Very encouraging. Like, okay, we're in the right
Yeah.
direction because that was a game that the players needed it, the fans needed it, the league needed it, and the
Yep.
coaching staff needed it from the Soccers, right?
Yep. Yep.
So we're very happy, very proud, and we had to reset ourselves because my former team, Milwaukee Wave, is coming to town. So I'm very
That's
excited to see
right.
it. And obviously, they're still in the hunt. They're not happy from the last game.
That's
So
right.
it's gonna. We have to be ready for them.
So Rene, I want to sort of tip my hat to the soccer's staff, Alex Monar and Paul Savage, and you guys on the coaching staff. It's really cool to see Gus Castaneda in there, and sitting the bench and helping you guys out as well. Of course, you and Phil, Cheeky back, taking care of business, and it's really exciting to see how you guys are doing it there at the new arena. You and I could talk forever, my friend, but I know that I know that you're scheduled for
I
you're
still have
soon.
another 10 more minutes if you want. I still have 10 more minutes. No
No,
problem.
I'm gonna let you go. You can do your professional stuff there at Hilltop High School, where you are right now, doing the thing you do. I tell you what, let's do that. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Hilltop and your kids.
So my other hat that I wear is the girls soccer head coach here at Hilltop. So
Right.
tonight, that's why you have all the Hilltop gear, right? The
Yep.
edge.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we have our CIF first round game at 5. So our
Wow.
girls getting to, yeah. And it's been a while that, last year we didn't make CIF. So every time you go to CIF, for people that follow high school soccer or high school sports, it's just a different vibe. It's exciting because now you're competing in the county. Um, Parents are excited. Our
Yep.
our school, our staff is excited, and
Yep.
Obviously I'm excited as well. So today at 5 we play against Ramona High School to make it to the next round.
Wow.
If we do well, we play on Friday. So yeah, so that's what's going on. I coach the girls
Wow.
soccer team. I'm here for 18 years, right, running the program here at Hilltop.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working with young ladies from 14 to 17, very rarely a 19-year-old, but yeah, so from freshmen to seniors, besides teaching PE full time. So we're very excited about today's game for us.
Well, good luck, Rene.
You've been here before. Remember, you came here one time.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. I've been at Hilltop. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim and I remember. In fact, it was Tim and I that came down there. It was right after
Correct.
you got back from the World Cup in Australia.
Correct.
Yeah, that was really fun too, by the way, Rene. That was really cool because you brought a very special guest to that interview, a giant green cup a giant green cup that you brought home from Australia. That was really cool. Rene, thank you so much for squeezing me into your day today, and I really appreciate you. You and I are buddies. In fact, we were airplane pals coming home from Kansas City that one day, flying back from Kansas City to San Diego. We were able to spend some time together on the aircraft too. I really appreciate you and everything that you bring to the San Diego Sockers, and I'll see you on the field here soon. Thanks for joining me today,
and Greg, also, I want to thank you for being a promoter of indoor soccer. Obviously, you have a page, a Facebook page, where you give an opportunity for fans to exchange ideas, and you're very strict about, obviously, the parameters that are needed.
Right.
You have a good, solid, intelligent conversations about different points of view. But I never seen a forum like you have it on Facebook. So I want to thank you, because without people like you, people would know about us, right? People just maybe don't realize that we have an indoor professional soccer league, and there's teams even in Mexico playing for a cup and competing. So thank you for promoting the game, and thank you for being a big fan of the soccer and the game. So thank you.
Absolutely. I love you, man. And thanks again for your time. Go get to work and prep those girls and take a chance.
Thank you for. I saw a couple of messages. Ruben, I think Lupe. I think Cardenas. There you go, Cardenas' mom. She's checking in.
Yep.
So I want to say thank you for following for the interview. And yes, bring the orange ball, Ruben Torres. He said, "Thank you. Bring the orange." Somebody said, "Bring the orange ball." Yeah, bring back the orange ball. Which Ruben, I agree 100%. We should bring it back. So thank you for the people, Michael De Gallo. Thank you, Michael, and for the people that follow you, thank you so much. Thank you, really appreciate it. It means a lot.
All right, thanks again, Rene. We'll talk soon, my friend. All right, well, that was pretty fun. As I mentioned, Rene and I have had an opportunity to get together a number of different times, and it was really fun. It was when the playoffs were in Kansas City. And I think it was during COVID, and I went back to Kansas City. My brother lives there, and took in all of that. And at the end of the early morning, right after the next day, after all of it concluded, I find myself at the airport, and the Empire Strikers, and I think it might have been Ontario Fury at the time, and the San Diego Sockers teams were both in the lobby. And we both took the same flight out of Kansas City to, I think it was Phoenix, and changed planes there, and separated off our different ways. And I was blessed and privileged to sit next to Rene Ortiz in both of those flights. So that's really fun. Thank you guys for watching. Study on Soccer. I love you guys and giving us the time. And I know that it's middle of the day, but this was when we could get Rene on for us. So once again, thanks very much for watching.